Well, David, the Ottawa Senators are making some headlines this week, and it's not for their play on the ice. It's for a little bit of business or housekeeping or new business. So we'll see what happens here as the future unfolds for the Ottawa Senators. But they're for sale. So what's the latest?
Yep. Yeah, and the writing was kind of on the wall for some time, and things started to trend more in this direction after the passing of Eugene Melnick back in March. Obviously, the group wanting to give the family and his daughters time to kind of let everything settle in and let the passing of their father um, go through its regular process. But now, yeah, the Ottawa Senators certainly for sale. Now it's funny, every now and again, teams get calls from different parties saying, "Are you for sale? Would you consider selling off a piece of this, that, this, that, and the other?" Uh, in this circumstance, well, yeah, the full team, the full-fledged organization is up for sale. Now, Melnick's daughters, my understanding is they want to keep a piece of the franchise. Now, it could be 5%, it could be a little more, it could be a little less, but they want to have something there as part of it. But the bulk of this team will be for sale, or is, I guess, now. They've hired a firm to help, an advisory firm to help along with this process, and this will begin in due course. It hasn't started yet,
Yeah.
but the parties that are interested in purchasing or potentially purchasing the Ottawa Senators, and there's a lot that kind of goes along with that, they're going to start to have direct interest and direct contact with the group in due course.
I'm sure there's a lot of different groups and people that want to get together to at least make a pitch on buying the Ottawa Senators. You know of a few, obviously. And one name that came up recently this week, Vancouver's very own Ryan Rodney Reynolds. He of the
Right.
Deadpool fame and obviously has a very, substantial portfolio. But how much does a guy like him interest maybe some more suitors into joining forces and purchasing the club?
Yeah, I mean, if he does get involved in any capacity, it would be in a minority stake position with a larger group, or at
Obviously, yes.
least, yeah, at least another individual. But he's made some smart investments before, and based on his track record with Aviation Gin, with Mint Mobile, with the soccer team that he's
Wrexham
got,
FC.
that's it in Wales. I mean, this is a guy that takes what he is part of and brings it to life even beyond what it already is. So you've got to imagine that's an attractive and very appealing uh, component for any group that wants to have Ryan Reynolds as part of their ownership group, because he's going to bring the added entertainment. He's going to make it personal, and we've seen with the documentary with the soccer club, that alone has drawn so much attention to that group and to that league. You've got to imagine that he's going to want to do something similar with the Senators. But again, this is very early in the process. We really don't know if another group is going to say, yeah, you know what, we want Ryan Reynolds to be part of this. I imagine they would, but I can't, project what every single potential ownership group is going to want to do. But we'll see. I mean, this is certainly an appealing and attractive component, as I mentioned, to any potential sales group that wants to get in on purchasing the Senators.
Yeah, Wrexham FC, who would have thought that a Welsh soccer team was going to end up on ESPN one day, right? So that's just the
Right.
power of obviously Ryan Reynolds and Rob McElhaney, who's obviously another investor there as well. You know a lot of other people that would probably be pretty interested in purchasing the Ottawa Senators
Yeah.
or at least making a pitch that way. But let's get to the actual team and building and possible relocation, because a lot of people have said, oh my God, if the Senators are for sale, they're going to Houston. So I don't think that's going to
Right.
happen, David, right? Or somewhere else
No.
in the United States, right? It's the Ottawa Senators are for sale, but the idea is to keep the team in Canada or possibly moving downtown.
They want to go downtown.
Yeah.
The project there at LeBreton Flats is a big piece to a potential sale of the Ottawa Senators. Now, Sportico came out this week with their valuations of teams, and they put the Sens at 655 million US. It's going to be more than that. The sale is likely to be, and this is a big gap in the financial scheme of things, but between 750 million to $1 billion US for the franchise. Why? Because of the prospects related to a new arena downtown west of Parliament Hill in Ottawa. If they can get that project going, and the Senators would be a big part of that, whatever that ownership group is, obviously would be part of that too. That automatically spikes up the valuation of the franchise and the overall value of the organization. A lot of people are really frustrated having to drive certain
Yeah.
parts and go up the highway, go to Canada, go to the game, leave, and all that stuff, deal with the traffic. Glendale Coyotes fans, similar feeling. So look, they want to bring that arena downtown. They want to bring it there, and the ownership group that does come in, whichever it may be, and whoever the parties are going to want to take that into consideration. And I've got to imagine that is tremendously more appealing for them than having them continue to play long term at the Canadian Tire Center in Canada. So that's all going to come into play here once things really get into motion. And I've got to imagine that by the new year, there's going to be, so a little over, I guess just under 2 months from now, we're going to start to have some real candidates and groups that are going to throw their hat in the ring and try to get controlling interest of the Ottawa Senators. LeBreton Flats and the new arena, big piece of that.
David, one final one for me. Once you see the ball rolling here, how quick do you think a sale would happen?
Well, I'm just going to cycle back quickly before I get to that and just reiterate what you were saying. No, the move, they're staying in market. I just want to, so there's no Houston, there's no Quebec City, there's no wherever.
Yeah.
But in terms of the process and how long this could take, I mean, really, it's going to come down to what group steps up quickly and what group has the most dough exactly to bring forward. Because as much as the ownership group, or excuse me, the financial advisor for the Senators is going to play a role in determining the overall value of this club and who are the right fits, the NHL and the Board of Governors have final say. So if they're going to need to sign off on whatever ownership or owner or ownership group comes in here for the Ottawa Senators. So this could happen, I mean, as quickly, I would imagine, as spring, summer, if the right groups come into play. And we know we have general managers meetings and Board of Governors meetings coming up over the next several months before the end of the season. But this could be something that does get resolved relatively quickly. And by relatively, I mean, let's say realistically 6 months from now as a starting point. But I've got to imagine that there's going to be some urgency on the side of the Sens side of things to try to move forward with this. So we may get some official news once everything kind of rolls out, probably by summer.
David, thank you very much for this. I'm a fan of Ryan Reynolds, obviously, so I just want to see the Deadpool reverse retro jerseys come to life. But been circulating on the internet again. Thank you very much for this.
That'd be something.
Interesting times in Ottawa, obviously with the sale of the Sens if it does happen. But we'll wait and see what happens here.